think we're back here on Around the World. We're talking with Henry Biernacki here in studio, the author of No More Heroes. Let me just read to you something that has written about a review on this book. It says, No More Heroes is beautifully written testimony on the art of living. It is a poetic and joyful reminder of those seemingly ordinary moments and interactions that are indeed so extraordinary. Henry Biernacki shares with the reader an uncommon sense of wonder and a profound sense of humanity. It's a rare gem in the form of a 166-page novel. That's written by James Montoya, who's the vice president of the College Board and former dean of admissions of Stanford University. What a great review he wrote.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Did you go to school at Stanford?
No, I did not.
So you just you got in touch with him somehow?
Yes, a gentleman that's my publicist, Steve Snykert. He's helping me a lot with the book. Steve is, and he's getting some reviews. And the most difficult thing with a new book is to get a review, because people don't want to put their name on it in case it is
a bomb.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially if they don't read it. All right, I'm looking at the back, and there's a picture. I don't know if you can see it on the stream there. There's a picture of you with Mother Teresa. Oh, there, it's much better that way.
Yes.
With Mother Teresa in India.
3 days before she died.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was that like?
I just knocked on the missionaries of charity, like I do in most things. I just knock on the door. It's up to the people to say yes or no, but I show up. Life happens to those who show up.
Right.
Is my philosophy. And literally, I believe it was 3 days before she died, so her physical body was a little ill, but when we talked for half an hour and had breakfast, her soul outgrew her body. You could look right into her eyes, and she was grabbing you with her eyes, hugging you very tightly, just with her eyes. She was very intense. But her body, as that photo shows, is frail, but her soul is much more powerful than that.
What an amazing experience.
It was.
How many people have the guts to go and knock on someone's door like that to begin with?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the way.
I was impressed. Honestly, I was impressed when I heard that you were flying up here to be on the show.
Well, thank you.
I thought that is terrific, because that means this is an adventurer.
Yeah.
A traveler came out. Have you been to Santa Barbara before?
Yes.
So you know this area.
It's
not a bad place.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
But when I was invited, it's if you said in studio, I definitely would show up. You're a traveler yourself. I mean, how many places you've traveled and lived in Italy, and so I appreciate the opportunity.
Now, also looking at this, you've got a picture of Mount Everest. Did you go up towards Mount Everest?
To Kalapatar.
What level? What elevation is that at?
18.7.
Wow. So that's like 3 breaths and 1 step. That level.
Yes.
Did you get altitude sickness?
Well, I went from Jiri, J-I-R-I, where you begin the trek up to base camp in 6 days. And if you climb, most people do it in 12. But to me, I was just walking along, and I just kept walking and enjoying the scenery, and it just went from one Sherpa village to another. And I was alone. I had no idea where I was going, but I ended up in Kalapatar. And
someone give you a map?
No.
You're just following the footsteps?
Yeah, and I took like a map, but nobody gave it to me. It was just like one of these map of topographical map.
Oh.
And I had no idea how to read those things, and so I just kind of was going around, and they would just point. Yeah, go.
And did you spend the night in the villages, or
Yes.
did you? Okay, so you weren't camping out.
No,
So it's pretty rough out there.
It is, but it's like 50 cents a night there. That even a traveler could afford.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm kind of, my breath is taken away because I thought I was a traveler, but I've never done things like this. You compare, or you write about San Francisco and Nepal. I can't think of 2 more extreme, different places. Tell us a little bit about how those 2 destinations became part of this story.
Well, Nicholas, because it is fiction, Nicholas is the character that I write about, and he meets a lady who's in her 80s named Surya. Her Foxy Bird is her nickname, and they become friends. So the book has friendships in here that typically with people that aren't friends.
Right.
But
so like Harold and Maude.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so he starts spending more time with her.
Mm-hmm.
And she talks about Walt Whitman, so I read a lot about Walt Whitman's poetry, From Leaves of Grass. And he talks about traveling. And she's never traveled, but she wants to hear his stories. And so she lives in Cupertino, and they go traveling to Cupertino in San Francisco quite a bit. Mm-hmm. And he saw her 6 months before, but she was getting more and more sick. But he didn't recognize who she was until they went to a cafe together, where she ordered the hot chocolate and chocolate chip muffin. He realized it was her that he was writing about at one point in time, 6 months previous. So she's like, well, if anything ever happens to me, I want you to take me to Nepal. If she ever died in the book and this and that. So he ends up going to Nepal. And towards the end of the book, she writes him a letter, and she says, "I've finally seen Paul." But their friendship means so much because he's introduced to other people in the book, Roger and Gary and Cecil and Larry and all these other friends that she has that typically he wouldn't be friends with, but he meets them. But that's San Francisco. It's the lifestyle that they're leading, and so it's the book is it is poetic in undertones, but the geographical settings are very accurate. But the people and conversations really are what make the book.
Mm-hmm. Any chance that this is going to turn into a film?
You know, people have read it. They definitely say that when they read it, it's like picturing.
I think we're out of time.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Bruce Salen, inviting you to stay tuned for the Bruce Salen Show, A Dad's Point of View, right after the news on KZSBA.